It's time to pull up a chair and talk some Dynasty Football. I am your host, J.J. Wenner, and this is the Rider Dynasty Podcast. With me are my wonderful co-hosts, Jameson Hutchinson and Joe Harlow. Gentlemen, it is good to see you again. How are you both?
Doing well. Hoping to still have my fastball. I've got dabbled into a little bit of the waters, but hoping to do a new debut here at Fantasy and Frames. Looking forward to it. So bringing the three amigos back together again. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm psyched to be here as well. So happy to be finally bringing the Rod Pod back, and been writing some articles with Fantasy and Frames, and happy to be back with two of my best friends in the whole wide world.
All right. Well, we are back after our winter hiatus, and I have to say, it's always good to see your smiling faces. And as you can see, we are in our new home with Fantasy in Frame. So thank you to Jorge, Nate, the whole team for their help getting the Rod Pod back up and running. Tonight, we are going to kick off our premiere episode at Fantasy in Frames with a SuperFlex Rookie Mock Draft, along with two very special guests. Who are they? Find out after this. Woo! I like that. That was the first time I saw that. All right, folks, before we bring on our guests, don't forget to listen to all of our podcasts and watch all of our shows here at Fantasy and Frames. Head over to fantasyandframes.com for all their latest articles and rankings covering a wide range of topics in the world of fantasy football. Okay, let's introduce our guests. First up is the man who is practically our fourth member. He is always there when we need another voice. You can find him on IDP Plus and Club Fantasy. It's the Joel Worth. What's up, Joel? How are you doing, buddy?
What's up, guy? I'm honored to be on the debut episode. This is pretty special. I appreciate you having me.
So, as our fourth member, does that make you the Ringo?
I feel like I'm like one of the fourth Freebird. Maybe that's the way we'll go with it.
God damn it! You know I don't understand wrestling references.
Could be a horseman. You never know.
There you go.
There you go again. Like
I'll be the rotating horseman. The Sting, Lex Luger, Barry Windham.
Luger wasn't bad.
Rotating horseman. That sounds like something dirty that we're not allowed to talk about. But next up is my co-host on the Die Hards podcast. You can find his writing on FF Today, Fantasy Points, and numerous bathroom stalls and rest stops up and down I-95. It's Doug Orth.
I got nothing for that. For a good time call.
Sing about it.
For a good time call. I don't know.
For an okay time.
Yeah. I'm the fifth wheel and I'm on bathroom stalls. Way to knock the debut episode of this off the.
All right, Doug, listen, here are the rules for me. You are a guest on this pod, so I have to treat you with kindness and respect tonight.
I know this is new for you, but go ahead and try.
Oh, it's going to be so hard, Doug. That's what she said. All right, well, we are going to get into our mock draft, but before we... Hey, Aiden. Hey, Carla. Oh, sorry. I'm getting off track. Yeah, Rod Pod. We are going to get into our mock draft, but before we do, a word from our sponsors. Make sure you download and subscribe to the Fast Draft app today using the promo code FRAMES, which will earn you a first-time deposit match of up to $50 in credits. From their Origins game where you draft only rookies, their Flex 4 game where you pick your favorite players for the upcoming season, and their D-Up game, which is just like Flex 4, but with IDP Fantasy Football players only. This 20-second timer PPR formatted 6-round best ball draft game is perfect for those on the go but itching to get their fantasy football draft fixed. Again, that's promo code FRAMES, which will earn you a first-time deposit match of up to $50 in credits. The Fast Draft app. Start drafting faster. All right, not bad. I'll get better at that one. Thank you. All right, gentlemen. Ground rules for this draft. Everybody out there listening, framers, framers. I'll figure that out too. The ground rules for the draft are: it is SuperFlex, PPR, 2 rounds, rookies only. Yeah, he is pretty awesome. Doug is going to lead off this draft with the 1st, 5th, and 9th picks. Joel has 2, 6, and 10. Jameson has 3, 7, and 11. And Joe is batting cleanup with the 4th, 8th, and 12th picks. Let's get started. Doug, kick us off strong, brother.
Yeah, well, I know Superflex is supposed to bring out the quarterback drafters, but it ain't going to happen here. And Ashton Genty is pretty much the number 101 in just about every draft, so he's going to be the 101 here. Look, he joins a depth chart that has Raheem Mostert, Zamir White, and Sincere McCormick. It's pretty safe to say he's going to be featured and handle about at least 300 touches as a rookie. Now, they got a ways to go before they can maximize his skill, but they got Chip Kelly and Geno Smith, and then that should help to minimize the offensive line issues and lack of star power at receiver. Jacoby Myers' presence notwithstanding, of course, JJ, I have to say that. Now, I think Mostert's going to be more involved than people might expect, but that's only because Kelly's going to probably run an up-tempo offense, and we can't give Genty 400 touches as a rookie, or at least I don't think. I don't think the Raiders are necessarily the best offense environment for Genty right now, but elite talent and massive volume tend to cure up most ills for fantasy running backs, and Genty has or will have both.
Yeah, touches are key, and the pathway is pretty clear for Genty. Great first pick. Let's see what Joel's gonna do at number 2.
Can I pontificate here for a minute?
Pontificate away.
For the last 2 years, all Tet McMillan has done is just literally dominate college football. But he played on the West Coast, and he played on a team that wasn't very good. I mean, they're okay, but small conference, not Power 4 conference team. And then we get to draft season, and it's all you've heard from the draft industrial complex and the mock draft industrial complex is this guy's slow. He's doesn't love football. He was on tape when he was 19 years old talking about how he didn't like watching tape, as if that's something that 19-year-old kids are all about. And all we heard is, this guy's going to fall. He's going to be a faller. He may fall out of the first round. And then we get to the draft, and the Carolina Panthers just do the smart thing and take him at number 8 overall. So he's a great fit with this offense. He's a great fit with Bryce Young. He's going to be perfect for Bryce Young. This is a great running back class, but I think he's the class of the wide receivers. I think he's the second best prospect in this class. I will take Tet McMillan at this number 2 pick.
All right. Tet McMillan at number 2. In my most recent SuperFlex rookie draft, he went at the 5th slot. So I like your aggressiveness with him. Jameson, where are you going next?
Well, I'm already frustrated. I got sniped on McMillan. I really wanted to talk about him. But I can talk about plenty of other players. This would be a spot, I think, possibly if you were in desperate need of a quarterback, Cam Ward would be the guy. But I'm going to go Travis Hunter here. I just think the upside as him as a wide receiver, really, in this explosive Liam Cohen offense, he gets Brian Thomas Jr. This offense for Jacksonville is just going to be explosive. I mean, they brought in Tootin, the rookie. He's going to do a lot of stuff. It just seems like speed galore. And there's a lot of untapped potential, I think, with Hunter here. So I'm going to go Travis Hunter here. I think for most people, Cam Ward might possibly be in this range, especially with how this quarterback draft class was. So those two were my picks I was kind of contemplating, but I'm going to go Travis Hunter here and just kind of take a shot at his untapped potential being, possible top 5 wide receiver in the league.
All right. Travis Hunter goes off the board. Joe, before you make your pick, if this was an IDP Dynasty SuperFlex rookie draft, where are you taking Travis Hunter?
I'll take him before Ashton Genty in an IDP league. I think it's just at least in Sleeper where he is getting dual eligibility. They're not doing the baseball thing with Shohei Ohtani where he's 2 different players. But right now, if you can get a wide receiver in your DB slot, that is an absolute cheat code. I looked at some stats a couple of months ago, and if Hunter had the Kamari Lassiter rookie season, which was like 3 tackles a game, 3 interceptions in the course of the year, and then 3 catches for 30 yards every game, no touchdowns, he would have been the top scoring defensive back by 50 points.
Wow.
And he would have been a top 10, I think it was maybe wide receiver 12, actually. It was top 20 wide receiver. And if you can put that in your DB room, that's an absolute cheat code. So he's the clear 101.
All right. Well, I love cheat codes. Where are you going to go, Joe, with the 4th pick?
With it being SuperFlex, I'm going to take the guy who went first overall in Cam Ward.
Mm.
Ward weirdly is getting a lot of hate right now. Now, I don't think he's an elite prospect, but all the people saying that he would have been the 8th quarterback in 2024's class, that's not accurate. He would not have been. At least this version of Ward would not have been. He's not Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels, but I think this is a similar thing that's happening with T-Mac, where in a class last year that had 3 or 4 elite S-tier prospects, being a great prospect is really hurting them. I think that if T-Mac came out next year or 2 years ago, I think there would have been no concerns with him whatsoever, really. But Ward as well, he has issues, but all quarterbacks do. But he's the first overall pick. He's going to a respective offensive mind in Brian Callahan with a vastly improving offensive line. So that's where I'm going here.
All right. Well, the first QB comes off the board at pick number 4. Doug, you are back up on the clock.
It's a pleasant surprise that Cam Ward, I was going to go Cam Ward, but because I thought the guy I'm going to take was going to be the next pick, but I'm more than happy to take Omari Hampton here at 5. And my thoughts on Hampton, landing spot tends to be a bit overrated in the dynasty community, but it can be a nice feather in the hat when a great talent lands in a great, if not ideal, scheme. I think that's what happened with Hampton going to Los Angeles. I don't think there's much question he's going to take Najee Harris's job sooner than later. And few coaches love to pound the rock more than Jim Harbaugh and OC Greg Roman, and few backs in this draft are built to handle a heavy workload better than Hampton. Even though I comped him to DeMarco Murray and Chris Carson in my draft profiles, I think he bears a resemblance to Jonathan Taylor and figures to be Jim Harbaugh's primary back for the rest of the decade. Chargers may not have the receiving weapons necessary to stretch the field yet, but almost everything else, such as the run-heavy scheme, good offense line, and great quarterback, is in place for Hampton to thrive right away. Whatever delay Hampton encounters sharing time with Harris in 2025 figures to be minimized by how many years he is challenging for the rushing title between now and 2030.
All right. Marion Hampton off the board at pick number 5. Joel, where are you going with pick number 6?
Yeah, I think I'm in the minority in that I had Trevion Henderson as my second best running back in this class, clearly behind Genti, obviously. But I just think he's like just a great fit for New England, where Vrabel is going to love him. He's just outstanding at pass protection. I mean, the dude's an absolute headhunter in pass protection. He's fun to watch if you watch some of his pass protection tape at Ohio State. Did have some injury issues, some durability issues while he was at OSU, but he's a guy who he can really get to the edge and kind of make some big plays there. So I think he's going to relegate Ramondre Stevenson to handcuff status very quickly, and he's going to take over that job in very short order.
All right, Trevion Henderson off the board. So far, we have 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a quarterback in the top 6. I like that. It's like Noah's Ark. Jameson, are you going to throw us a tight end here at pick number 7?
I am not, but I'm going to ask to stop being behind Joel so he can quit sniping me.
Wow.
I'm getting a little frustrated. I'm getting a little flustered, but it's going to be all right. So I will not go tight end, but I'm going to take another running back from Ohio State here in Quinshon Judkins. Over 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns in 3 collegiate seasons. National title game this past year, 3 touchdowns and over 100 yards. He goes to a Browns backfield where Nick Chubb is, even though seems like the face of the franchise, he's gone. I know they got Mr. Sampson from Tennessee as another running back in this draft class, but I mean, he can walk in and just be the day one starter. I know the Browns aren't great, but really can't be any worse than what Deshaun Watson was last year. This is just an awesome running back prospect and an awesome running back class. And these are the kind of shots I want to take here. So he's got the production. He goes to a spot where he's going to see volume from day one. He can obviously be the day one starter here for Cleveland. So I'm going to go Judkins here.
Hey, JJ. JJ,
Yeah,
if I can butt in here.
Of course.
You mentioned Dylan Sampson, Jameson. How much do you think Sampson could eat away at Judkins, or do you think it's going to be pure passing down role a bit down the road?
Just kind of depends on what the coach thinks about it. I wouldn't be surprised if they were split, but I mean, the way that he's ran the offense for Cleveland the last several years, it just seems like he finds one running back and just kind of goes with it. He tried it last year. It obviously didn't work out. Nick Chubb kind of came back and just wasn't not going to be the same. But I think that Judkins can end up being just kind of I'd be surprised if it was like 50-50. I think Judkins can walk right into like a workhorse role, and then Sampson ends up being, just kind of that special back there.
All right. Next up is Joe. Where are you going with the 8th pick, Joe?
I'm going to bring tight end into the mix and go with Colston Loveland, who was my tight end 1 going in over Tyler Warren by a decent margin. Wow. I think the Bears situation is weird. He's going to be used in the Sam Laporta role, though he is, I think, a significantly better prospect in pretty much all facets of the game. Ben Johnson offense is going to be great for him. Caleb Williams can actually play in rhythm, though many people said he couldn't. If anything, his biggest weakness this year was that he did it too much and wouldn't go off script enough. So I think Loveland's really going to see a lot of targets in this offense. Luther Burden's going to take some time to develop. DJ Moore seems to already be hated by the staff. So then Robodunze is a different role completely than Loveland.
All right.
Yeah. Loveland's is a really good tight end. He's one of the best prospects outside of Brock Bowers that we've had in a few years, I think.
All right. So the first tight end goes off the board at pick number 8. Doug, you're back up on the clock.
Wow, look at that. Well, I'm considerably higher on Caleb Johnson than most, I think, and I feel like this is a great spot for him. I'm willing to take him, even in Superflex, I'm willing to take him as high as 7, and so I think it's a slight value to get him here at 9. Look, the Steelers entered the draft with Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. Those are the only guys likely to make the team at running back. Now, we all know Warren can pack a punch and break a big run and whatnot, but the Steelers have been reluctant to have him handle a heavy workload in his 3 seasons, opting to use him kind of more in a complementary role. Johnson's not exactly a banger, but he proved in his final college season he can be a workhorse. Now, Pittsburgh has traditionally been a team that prefers to lean on one back, and that should really be the expectation, I think, sooner than later for Johnson, who is also a much better fit for the outside zone run scheme that Arthur Smith prefers than Najee Harris ever was. I think now Warren's probably too explosive to be just moved or pushed aside, and will probably remain a nuisance for managers who want James Conner or Le'Veon Bell like usage from Johnson in 2025. But I think he's eventually going to step into the kind of workload Harris leaves behind, while also providing more big play ability than Harris did.
All right, so Caleb Johnson.
Can I butt in here again for a second?
Absolutely.
So I think in the Dynasty community, we're very stuck on a backup running back. I think the NFL game has changed enough where having a good second running back is a positive for your Dynasty running back. Dylan Sampson, Jalen Warren, they're going to keep your guy fresh. Like, gone are the days of Christian McCaffrey having 8,000 touches and 99% of snaps. It's just not sustainable anymore. Guys are getting hurt too much. So having a guy you can take, and even Ramondre Stevenson can be this for Travion Henderson, get some of those dirty work plays, get some of the grinded out and stuff that doesn't really, like 10 carries for 30 yards doesn't help your fantasy, your top running back, but get him off the field and keep him fresh for those big plays.
Well, it's the NFL's version of load management from the NBA.
Yep.
Right? Like, you want your guys ready and healthy in the playoffs, not getting 36 carries in week 4.
I think just to follow up on your point there, Joe, it's about efficiency. Can you be more efficient? And in this case, Johnson's going to be more efficient than Harris. I don't think there's any question. Is he going to be more big play dependent? Possibly, but I think the 3 and 4 yard runs that Harris had will now be 7 and 8 yard runs for Johnson, and that tends to play well for our offensive coaching staff.
Agreed. And it's like we've always want our alpha wide receiver to have a good number 2 to take some attention away. It's a similar thing. Running backs are catching up.
All right, Joel. Where are we going with the 10th pick?
So the way I build my SuperFlex teams is I build heavily around my quarterback, so I don't need to take a subpar prospect right now. So I'm kind of happy about that. If you need to take one, you could specifically take one here, but I'm not going to do that because I hate both the rest of these prospects. So I'm going to take Emeka Egbuka. Maybe not an immediate term play. Depends on how kind of Chris Godwin comes back from the ankle injury. But Mike Evans is in the last year of his contract. Godwin signed a below market deal because of the ankle injury. So I think there's going to be opportunity for him at some point. And this kid's just a zone machine. Like he knows how to get open. He finds holes in the zone. And like the NFL plays about 75-80% zone now anyway. There's very little man-to-man being played. So he's never going to be Jamar Chase. He's never going to be Justin Jefferson, but he's going to be a guy who's going to be just put up consistent wide receiver 2 numbers year after year after year. Kind of like similar, he's not necessarily a similar player to, but I think he'll have similar production to Chris Godwin.
All right, another big
Chris Godwin was my comp for him for what it's worth.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, Jameson, pick number 11.
I'm frustrated that I've kind of got sniped, but I'm just going to let this one go. It's not that deep, but I'm just going to pivot here. I'm going to take the other tight end prospect that was highly regarded, the former Mackey Award winner, and Tyler Warren. I'm just going to kind of go over the scenario of how I can see kind of the career for Tyler Warren as a Colt can go. The first one, obviously, I think a lot of people are scared that he just ends up in quicksand because of the quarterbacks around him. We got Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. Jim Irsay's been kind of wild on the streets and stuff, so you're kind of worried about the franchise in general. The second way this can work is after this year, they clean house. Chris Ballard's gone. Steichen's gone. They get a new coach, get a new quarterback that has a little bit more accuracy. I can see that a possibility. And the third one that I think a lot of people are just leaving out that might be a little far-fetched, but he could just end up being, honestly, the number 1 target in this Colts offense this year and be really good. Penn State built their entire offense around Tyler Warren last year. And, I mean, he does everything. Colston Loveland is basically just I don't want to say basically, kind of just a wide receiver. But Tyler Warren, he blocks. He does all the dirty stuff. I mean, he's going to put his nose in the dirt. He's just the full end. He's kind of like the George Kittle where he just does everything and does it really well. So I'm going to go with Tyler Warren here. He does a lot of the stuff. You know, Alec Pierce is going to do the deep ball. You've got Michael Pittman and Josh Downs, who are both good players. I'm not going to say they're great. Tyler Warren's a pretty good prospect. I mean, highly regarded as one of the best tight ends that has come out in a long time. And I really do think that he has the potential to do a lot more than a lot of people in the Dynasty community. Even just year one, but just going forward in general, I think he could be a mainstay for the Colts going forward.
Tyler Warren, better than George Kittle, says Jameson.
No,
Come on, dog.
That's
Come
what
on.
I heard.
Come on, man.
To butt in again, though, how do you guys feel about Warren? I think I'm the lowest one on him, but
It depends how low you are on him. I'm a little bit worried. His target share at Penn State was so ridiculously high to get to that number.
Yeah.
So
I think he's a super overrated prospect too. Like I think he's a bad blocker. Colston Loveland, I think, is a significantly better blocker than him. Warren didn't put any effort into it this year. He ran people over, but there was no effort in the blocking game. And I thought so much of it was designery touches that a tight end's not going to see in the NFL.
yeah, my concern was the level of competition, and he was getting away with stuff, like you said, that I don't think is going to work. So I don't know.
Could you
I'm
guys
willing to be
improve
wrong.
on my pick anymore. I try to pick a quality player, and you guys just might as well pull your pants down, and take a dump on it.
I'm sorry, JMO.
See,
listen,
I was
I'm gonna
just trying
Tom
to.
from Spectrum.
No, I was gonna try to mock draft, but now I'm going to take this personal, and I'm going to write this down in my notes, and then we'll come back in 6 months, and when I'm right,
That's right.
we're going to have everybody on, and we're going to do this again. But I like Tyler Warren, and you know what? If everybody's going to poo-poo on him, he's going to be my favorite tight end ever. So I don't care. I like Tyler Warren. I think there's a possibility for him to end up being like right up there with some of the other tight ends that everybody knows and loves, like Laporta, all those guys. I think there's a path to him. I know the quarterback situation is iffy, but the tight ends that the Colts have thrown out the last couple of years, Mo Alley Cox, they're still trying to make that happen like 5 years later. Alec Ogletree, Kylan Granson was supposed to be the receiving guy. Tyler Warren's going to be on the field all the time because the rest of the tight ends for the Colts suck. So
Whoa. Jelani Woods is at the door, and he'd like.
I don't want to hear this.
That's
Joe.
right.
You sniped me enough. No, absolutely not. I'm not listening to this.
First of all,
right.
are we even worried about a ball getting to a receiving target with Anthony Richardson as the QB1? I mean, he's
That's
going to
always
tap
the
out
way.
of the game.
That guy ruined my life last year. I tied everything to the horse, and the horse just went down and died and quit on me. That's what happened. But you know what? I just you got to have hope. You got to have faith. I know that everybody hates Tyler Warren here, but you know what? I stand my ground. You guys are not going to put me off my block here.
You,
You can
Jameson,
stand me up at the gates of hell. He won't back down.
Jameson,
Right.
Jameson, you will not be pointing your finger at me in 6 months. Okay, I'm slightly concerned with the fact that I think Warren and Pittman, Michael Pittman, and Josh Downs all basically win in the same areas of the field. But unlike some of the guys here, I do believe the talent is there for him to be the lead dog. I don't think it's going to happen in year one, but I'm going to bet on the talent here, and I think it was hard for me to rank Loveland over Warren for fantasy purposes, and certainly I didn't see the same film. Apparently, that I think was it Joe that liked him considerably more, like that loved Loveland considerably more than Warren.
That is correct.
Yeah, I didn't. That's not what I saw. Anyway, I think there's a world where he's the primary target. I don't know it's likely in 2025, but I do see a world where that is a possibility, and I think he'll struggle to be a low-end tight end one this year just based on the quarterback situation. But we're playing Dynasty here. We're playing the long game, and I think he's going to be a top 5 to top 8 tight end.
I know it. I know the situation's ugly, but we just had, and I'm not trying to compare him. We just did George Kittle a second ago, but Brock Bowers had like 2 of the worst quarterbacks of all time, and he got there just fine. I know Anthony Richardson can't hit the ocean if it's 5 yards in front of him, but they also have Daniel Jones, which I can't say anything positive about, but you know what? Positive reinforcement. That's where I'm going here. So, and if we need to do a tag team match, me and Doug against JJ and Joe with Joel as a referee, that's fine too. I don't care. Steel cage. Prison, I don't care. I don't care.
I have to say, I don't hate Tyler Warren. I just thought
You just pooped on him for
him
like
as a-
5 minutes, dog, and left.
when we talk about him as a top 10 player, like he's a top 5 tight end, he's solid. It's similar to like the Shadur Sanders conversation. He's a better version, but like he's not bad. But I think the top 5 tight end prospect we've ever seen talk was insane. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Yep.
That's fine. It seems like you're bending the knee a little bit and coming around a little bit, but we can move on from Tyler Warren and we can come back to it another time.
Jameson wins again.
Not always. We'll see. See, now I'm all worked up, and this is where you guys apparently enjoy me when I'm mad.
This is where the pod gets fun, when Jameson gets mad. So let's go to the final pick of the first round with Joe. Who are you going to take here, buddy?
I forgot it was me.
Too worried about me to pick, huh?
I was. I'm always worried about you, JMO. I could go with a quarterback I hate, but I'm not going to do that. I could go with a quarterback I hate less, also not going to. I'm going to stick with the Bears theme and go with Luther Burden III.
Come on, that's personal.
I'm sorry. That was unintentionally personal.
No, that was just straight up personal, but go on. Great pick.
Hey, thank you. Burden, another one of those prospects that we talked about that I mentioned my last pick that's getting unnecessary hate throughout the process. Statistically, yes, he had a down year, but that Missouri team fell apart. Brady Cook, the quarterback, was already solid at best to start with, then was hurt all year. The offense as a whole just really went out of flux, and Burden's numbers went down. If you look at games like the Vanderbilt game, and then all of 2023, he was absolutely dominant. He was one of the best players. He was in contention to go first overall about midway through this season, I thought, in the NFL draft. But that was when a team that didn't need a quarterback like the Panthers was. Well, I guess Panthers could have, but another topic. He was one of the best players in the college football in 23. Dynamic athlete, absolute freak. Again, if we think and are reading the tea leaves that Ben Johnson and co hate DJ Moore and he's out the door soon, then Burden, my comp for Burden was DJ Moore. So I think we could just be slotting him right in 2026, 2027. So
all right.
That offense.
Luther Burden finishes up the first round. Just to recap, we saw Ashton Genty, Tet McMillan, Travis Hunter, and Cam Ward go in the first 4 picks, followed by Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, and Colston Loveland. Finishing up, we had Caleb Johnson, Emeka Egbuka, some guy named Warren, maybe Warren Zevon.
Reach.
And finally, Luther Burden at the end. Doug, outside of that Tyler Warren pick, were there any surprises in the first round for you?
Not really. I mean, I have a different stance on Judkins than I think Jameson does, but I mean, we're talking like a maybe 2 or 3 pick difference. I'm not.
Jameson's going to quit. Stop picking on Jameson.
No. This is almost how I would expect a SuperFlex rookie draft to go in the first round. That's and I think everybody that's in here is legitimately should be in here. There's a guy that's going to go with my next pick here that I think should probably have been in there over Burden, but 12 versus 13, 13 versus 12, not a big deal.
Joel, anybody for you?
No, I think this is pretty chalk. I've done a bunch of rookie drafts, and this is very, very similar to the way, you can mix up an order here or there, but this is these 12 players are pretty chalky in the way first round draft is going.
Joe, do you have a question from the peanut gallery for us?
Yes. Magical question here from Mr. Magic. A redraft ranking of Malik Neighbors, Puka Nacua, CeeDee Lamb, and Justin Jefferson. Or maybe it's JJ Winner. Who knows?
Oh,
well, if it's me, I'm dead
101.
last.
If it's JJ Winner, then it's last to first here. I mean, it's JJ, CD, Puka, Neighbors. That's without question.
Anybody want to take a gamble? Who are we taking first in redraft out of these 4? Jameson, where are you going to go?
I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. But I'm also very high on JJ McCarthy. I think he's going to do a lot of really good stuff this year. And it seems like a lot of people are a little scared. That's, I think, a buying opportunity. When everybody's scared in the market, that's when you become the shark and go after it. So I'm going to go JJ here. CeeDee Lamb was very fun until George Pickens showed up to town, because what George Pickens does very well, that's something that Dak Prescott also goes after very well. So I think I'm just going to rank it from, back to front here with Puka and then Neighbors, just because Neighbors' quarterback situation, he's got a 3-headed monster ahead of him that I don't know. I mean, Jameis is fun until he has turnovers and you can't put him on the field. Russell Wilson, respectfully, I just tired of it. And Jackson Dart, we don't know about. So, and then Puka is good, but he's had some injury concerns, and Matt Stafford probably got a year or two. I know it's a redraft, not a dynasty thing, but Puka's just had some injury stuff. So I'll go JJ, CD, Puka, and then Neighbors here.
I'm with Jameson there.
The only thing I'll add, I'm with Jameson as well. The only thing I'm going to add is I would strongly consider Puka over CD, outside of the fact that Puka's the way that his brand of football opens him up to having durability issues. And then just like Jameson said, I think Neighbors' quarterback situation is such that I think it's going to be a bridge too far to say he's going to be a 100-catch guy with Russell Wilson. And then likely they'll transition to Winston probably around game 7, and they'll transition to Dart around, week
Game
4.
8.
So
Yeah.
I would hate to think, I can't imagine that Jackson Dart's going to be peppering Neighbors with 13 and 14 targets a game. But it could happen. But the quality of those targets is another issue. So
It's hard to get all those targets when Wandale Robinson's there. You know what I mean?
that's right.
Oh, Wandale.
Extension of the running
18
game.
targets for 13 yards.
Man, nobody better. Nobody better.
Extension of the running game. Former Husker.
Oh, that's right. Nebraska boy Doug over there. You look like you ate too much corn, my friend. All right. Kicking off the second round, Dougie Doug.
Well,
Where you going?
for our loyal fans, you might have heard that we did a 1 quarterback draft last night, and so you'll hear me repeat RJ Harvey, and you'll also notice that I've went all running backs so far, so I am going back to my roots 20 years ago here. Anyway, RJ Harvey's my pick.
Did you say ruts?
Roots.
Roots?
Roots.
Does that have a Z at the end?
Root beer.
Roots?
Are you trying to pick Robbie Oots?
I like my fullbacks from Alabama. Get off my...
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, man.
No, as I said last night, I'll make this short because you can go back to our pod from last night if you wanted to. But I think he plays a lot like Jalen Warren. The competition in Denver is not great. They don't want to overuse Jaleel McLaughlin. Audrey Estime, he might have a power back role, but I mean, are we really concerned? Neither one of those guys were trusted to do much last year, and they still disappointed. So I think one of the reasons that Harvey was selected here is because he brings some big playability that, quite frankly, McLaughlin and Estime and last year Javonte Williams simply don't bring. I think he's going to stop just short of being a workhorse. And if we look through Sean Payton's history, it's been very rare he has a workhorse, but he does usually have a lead back, and his backfield usually has 110, 120, 130 targets. So, I mean, who's going to be getting those targets? I'm not going to sit here and say that Harvey's going to be up for 70 catches, but I think he's going to be a PPR machine. And obviously that's going to play pretty well here at 201. So, and as I said last night, I think if we're going to compare Peyton backs, I think he's more prime Pierre Thomas than Alvin Kamara, but prime Pierre Thomas wasn't that bad either. He was a solid RB2 for a few years. So, and I think that's what Harvey's going to be.
All right, Joel, pick number 14.
So I mentioned before that I don't like the quarterbacks in this class, but the proper process for SuperFlex is if there's a top 40 NFL draft quarterback available in the second round, you just have to take them. Just in case you have to play with humility and say that I could be wrong, and maybe the NFL knows more about these guys than I do. JJ, I need you to plug your ears. My comp for Jackson Dart was Zach Wilson.
Oh,
But
Hey, same.
Elizabeth, I'm coming.
it's the big one.
Lamont, you dummy. There's a chance.
We
Brian
just
Daboll
lost
can-
everybody under 40.
There's a chance that Brian Daboll could get something out of this kid. So I'll take Jackson Dart, even though I just hope that just the quarterback value is enough to make him worth the pick.
Hey, JJ, I love the analysis. There's a chance. That works for me.
All right, so Jackson Dart goes off the board, our second QB. Kind of crazy. I know it's a weak quarterback class, but for a SuperFlex rookie draft, to have your second QB going in the second round, that's a little bit different. It's interesting, but I agree with what you said, Joel. You can't look a gift horse in the mouth, regardless of your ruts.
Wow.
Jameson, you're up next at number 15.
I kind of want to throw a curveball here, but I also kind of want to play it safe. I think I'm going to play the safe here and pick Trey Harris, wide receiver for the Chargers. Ends up being basically walks into a position where he can end up being the wide receiver too. He's kind of the X that the Chargers need. And before he got injured last year at Ole Miss, he was probably one of the best wide receivers in football before his injury. So I think it sets up really well. I know a lot of people always get scared of Harbaugh, Ball, running the ball. You know, they obviously got Omarion Hampton. But, I mean, we saw Justin Herbert sling it a little bit. Did a lot more than I think people realized last year. He plays in the AFC West, going up against Mahomes. Raiders got better. Broncos got Bo Nix. I mean, it's going to have to – they can't just run the rock and do that stuff. So I really like him as far as the prospect goes. I like his landing spot, and that's where I'm going to go here with Trey Harris.
All right, Trey Harris off the board at 15 to JMO. Joe, where are you going at pick number 16?
Let's get crazy. I'm going with my quarterback 2 and Jalen Milroe.
Nice.
It's risky. I get it. He has real accuracy issues. He's very Anthony Richardson. However, he went at 94, something like that, in the 90s as opposed to 4 overall. He's going to get some time. The offensive infrastructure, I don't feel great just with it only being one real year of this Kubiak, but if history shows, it's probably going to turn out okay. And Milroe, he really just needs a couple years in the same offense. There was the weird stuff in his first year in 23 as a starter at Bama where they benched him, then brought him back, and he was awesome down the stretch. This year, it was super hit or miss in the first year with the new offense. And Alabama had a mass exodus after Nick Saban retired, which naturally. He shows a lot. I really don't think the accuracy is broken, though. I think it is fixable if he's given a good ecosystem. And then as a rushing threat, he is a real threat on the ground. Like, he's probably already a top 5 rushing quarterback in the league. The speed is legitimate. He has power. He's one of those guys who legitimately, if he fails at quarterback, could be a solid running back, I think. So that's the type of talent we're looking at here. Has a great deep ball. He passes really well, like when he deep area, middle of the field, which as a passer, you need to see those, at least flashes there. So I'm taking the developmental upside here. We're going to act like this isn't the same team that took Cam Ward, but upside. It's an upside swing in SuperFlex League.
Listen, sometimes 2 rookie QBs do go to the same team. Look at the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, JJ, if I can butt in here again.
You already did.
Yeah. No, I think there's a lot of Jekyll and Hyde in Milroe, and I was going to take him with my pick. This was because you wounded me deeply with that pick.
You're welcome.
So, but the thing that inspires me with Milroe is you have seen it. You do see the ability to be accurate. You do see the arm strength, but you see the ability for him to read defenses. I do clips on my draft profiles. And there were a number of clips where he showed anticipation, he showed accuracy, and then you look at some of his bad throws, and there's the way his arm is, his footwork is terrible. His footwork is terrible, and you can see when he releases the ball, it's not going to go any further than 5 yards, just because the timing is off, the footwork is off. But it's those flashes. They say in scouting that you should grade the flashes, and if you're grading the flashes, the flashes are there with him. So kudos to you. That's good. I like the pick.
Thank you. Yeah, like we've seen it in flashes. The Georgia game, he was the best player on the field, and it wasn't close. Again, that's against the Georgia defense with how many first rounders on that defense over the next few years? Like, that freshman receiver at Bama is pretty damn good. So, Milroe was the best player by far.
All right, Doug, where are you going with the 17th pick?
All right, so I'm going to try to change it from last night because I'm going to stick with running back, unfortunately. So I'm up to 5 running backs now. But I do have Cam Scatterboo ranked higher, but I'm going to go with Bashal Tootin here because I think the upside is immense with him. And whereas Scatterboo, I think, could end up just being a committee back. I think there's a real chance Tootin ends up being the lead dog, if not this year, certainly to start next year. I'm sure you guys heard when James Gladstone, who's the GM now in Jacksonville, he noted recently that during his GM interviews with Jacksonville before he got the job, that he mentioned in those interviews that he was targeting Tootin at the start of round 3. Maybe that's hyperbolic, maybe that's not. I don't really care. The fact that is that before he had a job, he had the conviction in the guy to tell his potential future boss that's who he was going to go with. That to me says a hell of a lot. Guy, I'll just make this real quick. He has an all-purpose skill set. We don't like the fumbles, but he has the all-purpose skill set. He had I think like a 33, basically 33%, almost a third of his missed tackles force on his 183 carries last year, and then 54% of his rushing yards last year came on explosive runs. Then you add in Liam Cohen, who's coming from Tampa Bay, and everybody's going to make the easy. What did Liam Cohen do last year? Among other things, he unearthed Bucky Irving. I don't think that Tootin is quite in Bucky Irving's class, but you see the skill sets are somewhat similar. So I'm swinging big here because Milroe got taken from me. So I'm going with Tootin.
Rootin' Tootin' Bay Shoal. All right. Joel, you're up at 18.
Well, I need to be consistent. So there's another top 40 draft pick quarterback that's sitting out there, and it's probably going to start on day 1. And I don't like him as a prospect at all, but I'll
Jameson,
take Tyler Shuck.
This is BS.
He's 40 years old. He's had serious injury issues. He's an absolute mess mechanically, and he's completely reckless with the ball. And I don't think it's going to turn out well, but like there's going to be a window. There's going to be a window where he can have a good game or two, and with some garbage time, you can maybe sell him and trade him for a future pick or something like that. So, the process pick here is Tyler Shuck.
You making this pick sounds like one of my middle school female students picking a boyfriend. Like you list everything that's terrible, nothing good, and is like, "Yep, I'll go with that one."
It's
he's got a big arm. I'll give him that.
For a quarterback that is more than likely going to start week 1 compared to Milroe, who is sitting behind Darnold, behind Dart, who's got Wilson and Jameis Winston. I mean, Shuck going in the middle of the second round. No, he's not great. I know he graduated in the same class as Moses. I know that. I mean, he's broken his collarbone twice. He broke his leg. I mean, 25. I mean, backed up Justin Herbert for God's sakes, and Justin Herbert is like a 10-year vet in this league by now. It just, just Shuck. I mean, he's got Olave. He's got Rashid. I mean, it's not the worst setup. I know it's not the best. I know New Orleans isn't great, but I think it's almost a value getting a day 1 starter more than likely here in the middle of the second round in a SuperFlex league.
Three
Absolutely
solid
value.
targets. Juwan Johnson at tight end. Like, you could do worse.
The O-line's solid, at least.
We're trying our best.
I'm trying to help. I'm trying to be nice to you, Jameson.
I was trying to bring some positive reinforcement, but once again, everybody just poo-poos on me, so that's fine.
Positivity.
It's all good in the hood. How am I the beacon of hope here? I should be the last on that list, but whatever.
Well, Jameson, be the beacon and make the 19th pick.
All right, it'll be my honor at the 19th pick in this SuperFlex draft to select Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Iowa State. So end up right behind Nico Collins, who will end up being the alpha. This offense totally changes. They get a new offensive coordinator. They've done some stuff on the offensive line. I don't know if it's necessarily an upgrade, but I mean, what I saw last year was beyond brutal. So I'm willing to give some hope there. He's a huge receiver. I mean, he's 6'4", he's 215 pounds. He does a little bit of everything, but I mean, he's really well-rounded. He's tested really well. I think he ends up walking into C.J. Stroud's wide receiver 2 right off the bat here. And I think there's a lot of production for Houston. It's a division that's very winnable. So he's got, the Colts defense that was absolutely terrible last year. Jaguars kind of been up and down. I think it sets up well for Jaden Higgins, and that's where I'm going to take my shot here with him.
Well, as far as that offensive line goes, from everything I've been hearing, the loss of Tunsil might be an overall gain for them.
A lot of
Wasn't a
offside
very popular
penalties
person. Yeah.
constantly. Anytime you watch Houston when they scored like 2 points on Christmas, it was like every 3 plays. It was, offsides, Laramie Tunsil. So we'll see. But I mean, he ends up kind of being, I'd say, basically a big X here. But I just, it's a good dart throw to pick in the middle of the second round now that Tyler Shuck, my dog, got sniped from me.
I really like that pick for you, Jameson.
All
Positive
right.
reinforcement here.
No pity parties for you, Jameson.
It's fine.
They fully
I really like
guaranteed
the
his
pick.
contract.
Well, hey, Jameson, I'm not gonna poo-poo on you on this one. You're not gonna find Tyler Shuck on any of my teams this year. I can almost assure
That's
you.
fine. And
So
you know what, Doug? If anybody should be following your advice, it's me. I'm the one that thought Will Levis might be decent last year in fantasy football.
Hey, I did
so,
too. I did too.
So
Yes,
just
you both did.
yeah.
Process-wise, it was all there for him. It could have happened.
Yeah.
But
Process was
then
a
there was the him.
railroad where some kid threw a rock and the train went off the rails and blew up into a big pile of smithereens. That's
Wow.
what happened last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Joe,
saying.
you are up.
I'm not sure how to follow that up, but
I was trying to get off of that. That positivity train just had
I'm
an
leaking. I'm leaking now.
bless you. So there's one more first round pick here. I think there's only one more.
Yep.
I'm going to go with
boy.
him.
Oh boy.
Oh, this is a great question. Thomas Fedoni. Why is he there?
Former Husker.
Yeah. Yeah. Anywho, I'm going to go with Matt. Thank you, JJ. Yeah.
Oh, did I put that
Draft
up before
capital.
you said it? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Well, I can answer that question, but go ahead, please make the pick here.
Yes, we're going to go with Golden. I wasn't the biggest fan of his. Again, the wide receiver 1 in this class talk was bonkers to me. I think I had him as my wide receiver 7, something like that. But he's a good player. He fits really well in that offense. I think just the role there makes a lot of sense. I don't know if he won't ever be a fantasy wide receiver 1, but I think he could absolutely be a wide receiver 2. Him and Jaden Reed complement each other pretty well. I think he fits Jordan Love really well. But Love loves to get on those heaters like a Geno Smith, like Cam Ward will, and just kind of just huck it. Won't take a sack and will just kind of throw a prayer up or throw a drag route. That's maybe not the most advisable thing, but when they do, Golden's going to be there for those, I think. Yeah, so I'll take the value here at pick 20. So
All right.
Yeah,
Well, stay
sure.
golden pony boy. Doug, you are up at 21.
Would you like me to say a few words about Fedoni before we move on here? To answer
that's
that
okay.
question? What's
No,
that?
it's all right.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I can speak about the Husker guy, but anyway, I can't believe I can't believe it. We're gonna go 6 for 6 on running backs, and like last night, I went Cam Scattaboo, and I'm getting him probably about 3 or 4 picks later than I did last night. Like I said last night, watching him play is almost as fun as saying his name. I also said last night, the guys. I'm not sure anybody in the last 20 or 30 years reminds me anything more than John Riggins. I mean, this guy has some of the best contact balance I've ever seen. It really just is insane with him. You square him up and it doesn't affect him. My only concern with him now is because he takes on so much contact that he's going to be a durability concern at some point. And he also does have some fumbling issues, but I'm more than happy to get him in the middle to late part of the second round. I think he can end up being a lead back. I think he's going to end up just being a committee back. So, but man, it's going to be fun watching him decide which way his career goes.
Yeah, Vince talks about Matthew Golden. Sometimes you just find the same player falling to you, and you have to take him. You can't let him fall. Much like not wanting to go down and fall, Cam Scattaboo does worry me a little bit how he always is fighting for that extra yard. NFL DBs are so good at punching that ball out the longer you stay on your feet. But he's definitely going to be I think you're going to be able to trade Cam Scatterboo if he has, any type of good game. You're going to get a lot of value in trading Cam away. So definitely invest. Pick 21.
So do we think he's just guaranteed to take over Tyrone Tracy?
No.
Because I don't.
I don't either.
Tracy's better than him.
Yeah, it's stunning to me how often I'm reading that it's just a foregone conclusion that it's going to be Scatterboo's role. I think it's at best 50-50. I think Scatterboo is a pretty darn good receiver. I mean, it's him and Christian McCaffrey as far as guys who have ran for 1,000 yards and caught running backs that have ran for 1,000 yards and caught for 500 receiving yards in the same year and over the last 10 years. So I could see him end up taking the passing down role there.
At the same time, Tracy's a wide receiver.
Yeah, he'd have problems with drops. But yeah, he is a former receiver. So the two very different players, but I could end up they both have fumbling issues. I could see it being where one gets on a 3-week heater, fumbles a couple times, then it's the next guy for the 3 or 4 week heater, and it's just a frustrating committee in that regard.
If you draft Cam Scatterboo and he has 2 good games in a row, trade him. Go ahead. I'm sorry. That's just me. Joel, pick 22.
There's a couple of receivers here that I like, so I'm going to flip a coin and try and figure out which one is the one that Jameson wants, and I'll take him.
I'm thinking wide receiver, so we're
savage.
Okay.
This.
I'm going to take Jack Besh. It's between him and Kyle Williams. I think Kyle Williams has more upside, but I think Besh is safer. Goes to a better situation. There's just more targets. Well, there's a ton of targets in New England, but I'm not sure how that offense is going to play out. So I like Besh's situation going to the Raiders and just kind of swapping out with Jacoby Myers. They can do some similar things, but I think there's an opportunity there. They need another receiver besides Myers and Brock Bowers. So I'll take Jack Besh.
All right, Jack Besh goes off the board. Jameson.
I would take the other wide receiver he was talking about in Kyle Williams. New England needs a playmaker bad. This is a guy that had a really good Senior Bowl, has blazing speed. He's got great releases. He goes with Drake May, who's an ascending player. The offensive line has greatly improved, and he's also got new coaching. He's got Josh McDaniels and then Vrabel as the head coach. And this ends up being a wide receiver who can basically, we'll see about Stephon Diggs. Everything coming out of that side seems like he's getting healthy and seems pretty well so far in his recovery. But I do think that Kyle Williams can walk into a pretty good workload, and I think it's a great pick here at the end of round 2. So I'm going to go with Kyle Williams, go with Drake May. He's going to be awesome this year. He's going to whoop ass, and we'll go from there. So,
all right. Joe, with the final pick of the second round, where are you going?
So many ways to go. I was hoping Kyle Williams would fall, but there's a lot of tight ends here. One of those probably should be the pick, but I don't really feel like talking about tight end right now. So I am going to go with Jalen Knoll, the other Iowa State and now Texans receiver. I had Knoll a little higher than Higgins, two totally different players. I'm really curious how this works out in Houston. He fell to the third round, which was a surprise. Thought there was a sliver of a chance he could have snuck into the back end of round 1, but in the third round, he won't have much of a role this year, especially with Christian Kirk there. I think he's a better version of Christian Kirk as a prospect. A Christian Kirk who has some blocking chops and more sure hands, but he's the type who I could really see CJ Stroud falling in love with, similar to he did with Tank Dell. And again, he won't be a wide receiver 1 on the team. Nico Collins is an alpha there. But these 3 guys, Knoll, Higgins, and Nico, fit really well together. If the offensive line can hold up and CJ Stroud continues to progress to what we think he can be, I don't see why all 3 can't have a real role. And Knoll could end up potentially being the number 2. So, yeah.
All right, Jalen Knoll at the end of the second round. Just to recap, we had R.J. Harvey, Jackson Dart, and Trey Harris and Jalen Milroe going in the first 4 picks. The middle section, Bayshall Tootin, Tyler Shuck, Jaden Higgins, and Matthew Golden. Finishing up with Cam Scattaboo, Jack Besh, Kyle Williams, and Jalen Knoll. Now, Joe, I'm going to go right back to you. We're going to do this in a snake fashion. Best of the rest. Who do you think who are the players you thought would go in the second round? Or who is a player you might trade up to get in the beginning of the third?
I alluded to it, but one of the tight ends that are there are probably the right answers. I have some more guys I like, but I'll stick with the top tight end I have on the board, and that's, oh gosh, who is that even? We'll go Terrence Ferguson. Second round pick, Rams. Rams love to run. Sean McVay wants so badly to run that offense through the tight end. Tyler Higbee, even though he's not good and incredibly broken, unfortunately, every time he comes back from injury, Sean McVay's like, 10 targets, let's go. And Ferguson is what Higbee used to be before all the injuries. He's a great athlete, went to the same high school my sister and cousins did, which is cool, I guess. But yeah, so I'm just going with the upside there. And if he can be the second target on a Sean McVay team in the next couple of years, I will. That seems like a bargain at the top of the third. And I've seen him fall to the 4th round in a lot of drafts, which blows.
Terrence Ferguson. J-Mo, who are you taking?
I really like Jaden Blue from Dallas. I think he ends up walking into a spot where he can get into a workload. He's a great receiving back. Can I speak up on a dart throw quarterback here?
Sure.
I do not think I'm going to take anybody's thunder, but there's a possibility that Will Howard might see some time on the field this year in Pittsburgh if he needs some production. I think that's a dart throw later in the draft that people might be missing. I know it's ugly. He's one of these quarterbacks kind of like Milroe. I don't want to say Shuck because he was in college for 400 years, but he come out like a year early, and a guy like Cam Ward really benefited from going back to college and ended up being the number 1 overall pick. Will Howard has got some tools, kind of like Drew Aller from Penn State. He ended up staying for another year. He was a guy that was talked about coming out and being probably a first-round pick at quarterback. But Will Howard, I think, could possibly see the field this year. It's Mason Rudolph and I believe Skylar Thompson. I know the Steelers are going to suck, but, I mean, this super flex, you need bodies at quarterback. So Will Howard is a deep dart throw that I think I'd be willing to take here.
That was the name I was considering before pivoting to tight end.
All right, Joel.
My favorite guy that I'm taking at the end of every draft is our Lord and Savion Williams. He's the only Packers receiver with any size whatsoever. He's 6'4", 220, big kid. He's really raw, but if you give him some manufactured touches, this is an offense that Jaden Reed scored 10 touchdowns as a rookie in basically the same role. And he hits some really bad concentration drops, but he's very good at the goal line. So if you're in a format that really heavily rewards touchdowns, like half PPR, touchdown heavy, something like that, I think he's going to lead their receiver room in touchdowns.
All right, Doug, last up.
I'll try to say 3 things real quick here, folks. Anybody that's listening, usually third round picks in any draft, Superflex or otherwise, usually aren't worth much. Holy cow. I drafted 6 running backs in the first 2 rounds, and I'm looking at my draft board, and there's easily 5 more I want.
Easily.
Yep. With that said, now, the 2 guys I would like to highlight, Elijah Arroyo, real quick. You hear Seattle's coaches talking about how they could use him as an X receiver. He's 6'6", 250 pounds, and he's fluid enough that they could have him do some X receiver things, which is a huge compliment for a tight end. The other guy I want to highlight is Kyle Monangai. We'll see if the Bears add a veteran there, J.K. Dobbins, Nick Chubb, whatever. If they don't, Monangai might not seem like much, but he's going to be the physical running back or the bruiser running back in that backfield if they don't add anybody else. Because I'm sorry, Roshan Johnson isn't doing it for me. So I'll take the rough and tough guy in a Ben Johnson offense and roll the dice. So those would be the 2 guys I'd want to highlight.
Can I add one more real quick?
Sure.
Just because we didn't talk about him. We spent 2 days together, and I just want to talk about him before we go. Jarquez Hunter for the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I think he ends up
Yes.
Doug talked about, these running backs who didn't get picked in the first 2 rounds. But, I mean, Kyron Williams, especially towards the end of last season, had some issues, didn't look great, had some fumbling problems. Blake Corum is more similar to him. I think Jarquez Hunter could end up going up the depth chart here. And I just wanted to – didn't mean to steal everybody's thunder, but I just want to point him out and make sure he gets talked about because these late-round dart throws in round 3, I mean, they can hit big this year with these running backs, and I think he's one of them.
Agreed.
Mason Taylor is somebody likes a jet. Mapstone, did we just become best friends?
Mason Taylor's good. He's really good.
Yeah, but he's going to the Jets, buddy. All right, it is time for tags, where we let everyone know where they can find us and what you have coming up. First up is Doug.
Guys, I'll keep it short. You see it on my tagline here. I got my stuff at FF Today and at Fantasy Points. I'm taking a bit of a break from writing because my content schedule doesn't start until early to mid-June. But that's where you can find me. The socials are at the tag, the handle of Doug Orth, DOUGORTH.
Nothing else, Doug? You don't do anything else?
I don't do anything else unless you want to come watch me ref high school basketball or AAU basketball.
No, you don't. You don't do anything on Wednesdays?
Oh, that's right. I do. We do have a pod. I'm forgetting my co-host. Yes, we do have a football diehard podcast on Wednesday nights. Yes. Thank you, JJ.
I hate you, Doug.
JJ was giving Doug the 8th grader who was talking out of turn. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Doing a bunch of best ball stuff right now at IDP Plus. It is best ball season, getting out into those streets and doing Dynasty at Club Fantasy. You can find me on the Twitter and the Blue Sky at the Joel Worth.
Thank you, Joel. It was a pleasure having you on the pod tonight. Jameson.
Over on the Twitter machine, as always, at Jameson Rules. Here every Thursday, brand new home at Fantasy and Frames for Rider Dynasty Podcast. Other than that, I'm in Discord over there as well. If you've got any questions, comments, concerns, if you want to help me beat up the Spectrum guy, I can give you all the details there. But other than that, like I said, just over on the Twitter machine at Jameson Rules. And good to be back. Going to be a great season here. Great off season.
Joe.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight, Joel and Doug. Really appreciate it. It was a blast. You can find me on Blue Sky and X at Jolo63 or on the Fantasy and Frames website and Discord, where I am partaking in our Draft Rookie Fantasy Fallout series. I'm working wide receivers and one IDP position. I don't remember which one. I think linebackers. Sorry about that. But those will be dropping. First one dropped, and the next will be dropping shortly.
All right. I'm at JJ Wenner on Blue Sky. Thank you to everybody who joined us on the stream tonight. Thank you to Doug and Joel for joining us. Thank you to Joe and Jameson for all of your support over the past few weeks. Shout out to Doug and Ryan McDowell for checking in on me when I was crashing out and making sure that I was doing okay. Please come back next week at 8 p.m. You can also catch me on the Diehards podcast.
The what?
Every Wednesday with myself. There is a guy who shows up with me. But let's be honest. You come for me and you stay for me.
Yeah. I would. That's what I would do. That's what I would do.
From all of us, all of you. Be safe, be well, and as always, boat drinks, my friends. Boat drinks.